Hi everyone, Marshall, aka Budget RC. Hope everybody's doing okay. Just jumped on here to do a little New Year's Eve edition of the Tuesday night talks that I've been doing. Run a little bit late tonight. Normally I come on around 7:30, but tonight had to run to the grocery store. It was a madhouse in there trying to find stuff. I don't know what was going on so big tonight. New Year's Eve shoppers, I don't know what it was, but took me a little while. So, what's up, brother? You doing all right? Ready for the new year? Well, that's good. Wanted to ask you why I got you here. You ever had any luck with any of those? You ever have any luck with those? Hold on a second. Oh, sorry about the camera shaky. Trying to show them to you a little bit better, but the light over my head. There we go. You ever use anything like those? Where the hook's coming up at the top of the body? Got them made up look like a shad. Yeah. They're good for bass chasing shad. Well, somebody I had talked to a while back said that he'd been catching bass on stuff that had the shad color because the shad had been running. I don't know if they're still running or not or anything, but that may be one of the ones I try the next time I go out just to see. And of course, don't throw to the little bass on top, let it sink under the school where the big bass are. And then I got this one I plan on throwing out the next time I'm out. Strike King swimming jig. That's the one I plan on throwing out probably next time I'm out. It's black, blue flake. There it is. It's got two of the Rage Menace trailers with it. The hook on the back, put on the hook, and then it's got the blue and black mixed jig head. Those are two that I plan on trying my next time out or the next time after that. But yeah, I had a guy tell me that he was catching them on. He's been killing them on crankbaits. He got kind of like a shad colored crankbait. Said he's been wearing out the bass on it. But I decided to go this route. This right here, you know. And I think I've got some crankbaits that might have a little bit of shad coloration in them. But I like the hooks coming out the top. It's less likely to get hung up than when the hook comes out underneath it. You know, especially if you're coming across the bottom. It's hard to try to bring something slow across the bottom when it's got 3-prong hooks, 2 and 3 sets of them hanging down from it. It's kind of hard to let it drop to the bottom and then just do a slow crank. If you do that with one that's got all them hooks under the bottom, you end up hung up every time you throw out. But when you got something where the hook comes back out the top, or the hook's tucked into the actual part of the body, that's why I like the ones with the weed guard. You get one with a jig with a weed guard, or you're doing a rubber worm with a weed guard. Hope you had a good Christmas. Oh. Yeah, I had went out to the grocery store. My girlfriend was out of cigarettes, and I had to go out and get them. And then she wanted to make us pizza for supper, so I had to go to Wally World, pick up some stuff there to get for the pizza and everything. And it just took longer in there than I thought it would. You know how it is, they never have enough registers open. You know. Then I got that stuff loaded in the car, came home. She fixed them real quick. Then I went ahead and ate a few slices of mine and decided to jump on here because I knew I was running late compared to the last time I was on here. Like I said, I normally come on at 7 or 7:30, but running late tonight. But yeah, I need to get out there and put a couple of those upgrades on the kayak. I just haven't got out there because lo and behold, it's either just monsoon in here. Yesterday, we had like rain all morning, all afternoon, and then about 5, 6 o'clock when I was at work, that's when it wanted to stop. Today we had like, I think it was 16, 17 mile an hour winds. And I'm like, no, I'm just not getting out in all that wind if I ain't got to. But yeah, the next time I go fishing, I'm hoping to tie one of those on, either the spoiler shad swim bait, either tie that on or tie on the swimming jig. I'm going to take my kayak out Saturday. Cool. Good luck. Hope you catch a bunch. You were talking last week. You were telling me they kill it on the rooster tail. If you do the 1/4 ounce on rooster tail, that the bass be killing it. What color is your best luck on? What color do you have the best luck on when you're doing the rooster tail, the 1/4 ounce for bass? Because the only one I've got right now in the 1/4 ounce is, I think, like a green, like a lime green to yellow color. It's the only one I've got. chartreuse or white. Well, that green might be all right then, because it's, it looks to be a kind of a light or bright green, kind of like the chartreuse or a yellow color. So that one might be okay. Now the smaller ones I got a bunch of different colors in them, but the only 1/4 ounce one I've got is just that one that looks to be a green or a yellow color. I'd have to look at it again. It might be about the color of your vest thing you got on there in the picture. Vest or jacket. It might be about the color of that. Which is about right in where it needs to be. But I don't know if I've got any white ones. If I do, it's the small ones. I don't even know if I've got any white ones. I thought about just grabbing, since the lake's so close, I thought about just grabbing bass rod up and not the one that I put live bait on. I got one that I just use live bait on for brim and crappie fishing. But I've got another one that I use for throwing out like crappie jigs and different things like that. I might grab it and grab my bass rod, grab my tackle box one of my days off, and just walk down to the lake. Just walk down there and throw out a few times, see if I can get any hits. Back up in this cove area of the lake back here, right here where I live. Because, I mean, I can walk down the street probably about a block, a little less than that, and I can step to the edge of the water and just throw up in this cove. I just got to find what they're biting up in there, because so far every time I've been on this part of the lake where I actually live, I haven't caught anything. Bass will hit the smaller ones, just can't throw them as far. Yeah, that's when you need to be out in the boat so you can get closer to the target. If you got a lure that doesn't throw that far. That's why my dad liked he liked fishing broken back minnows. They were lightweight. You couldn't throw the smaller broken back minnows about this long. You couldn't throw them that far. But he had a boat, so he would just do the trolling motor, get up where he saw some bass popping the top at, get near there, and then just throw that out there and reel back across that area. And he'd nail him some. He used the hula popper a lot. He used the broken back minnow a lot. And he used, like I said, kind of like the Carolina rig, Texas rig worms with the bullet weight. That was his main thing that I saw him fish with whenever I went with him. Now me, like I said, growing up, mine was mainly brim, standing on the bank of a little creek or standing on the edge of the lake, doing brim fishing mostly. A little bit of crappie fishing when I could go out, especially when I could go out on a boat. We'd go under a bridge and throw under there for crappie fishing. And then when I would go to a spillway, go down to a dam, I would either striper fish or I would fish for crappie. Because, man, the crappie run like crazy near them striper. There was like about probably 100 feet down from where I'd fish for striper. You could get around this little curve, and right as you went around the bend, you could throw out off this big rock about halfway across, and you would just wear out some crappie. I stood out there one day, I think, and caught like 21. How close are you to the water? Realistically, somewhere by the football field. about the length of a football field from right here, where I'm at, down to the bank, up in this cove I'm talking about. Like I said, the lake comes up into a cove, and we're right around the curve coming up away from that. So I walk down the street, start to go into the curve, walk off into the woods, go down through the woods a little ways, and then boom, there's a clearing. And right down in there, a guy's got his John boat sitting down there that he rows out in. Another guy's got his boat over here sitting beside it. They leave them laying down there. And I just go down there and stand in between their two boats right there at the edge of the bank and just throw around in that cove. So, yeah, I'm less, I'd say probably a little less than a football field. And then there's a pier. If you go past my house, past that little cove, and go on around, it's in the same park, same spot. You go on up the road a little piece, I'd say about 2 blocks from where I live, about 2 blocks away. There's a pier with a boat ramp just for the people that live here. I fished up there. Never caught anything. Got 2 or 3 hits. Never caught anything. Yeah. Yeah, especially up in that cove, being so close to me. May have to look into that. What would you recommend? But you can tell there's a few other people that go out in that little cove area right there. Because like I said, there's like a canoe sitting over here. And there's a John boat sitting here. And there's a little path in between them. I walk right down to the water, and depends on what you want to catch. Well, really, I'd be happy with anything, but because not really wanting any carp. I'd rather have catfish if I'm going to have one of those two. I haven't thrown anything out for catfish yet to try to, see if they're hitting down there. Haven't threw anything out for catfish. The only thing I've thrown out down there, I've thrown out live red worms for brim and didn't even get a bite in that cove. And I had live red worms. And it's rare to throw out a live red worm and not even get a hit from a brim or sunfish or any of them. I'm sitting out there and I'm like, really? Nothing's hitting that on the court? And then I threw out a couple of crappie jigs. Didn't get no hits on that. Then I threw out a couple bass plugs. Didn't get no, like I said, I didn't get any kind of hits in the cove part. When you go up in that cove, I didn't get any kind of hits. Not for brim, not for crappie, not for bass. When I went off the pier, that's about 2 blocks away. It's only about 2 blocks away. I went there, and I had probably about 10 or 15 hits. They were just light hits. They wasn't being aggressive or nothing. And I had somebody's dog come up on the pier trying to get all in my stuff, so I had to keep an eye on that and try to keep an eye on the rod and reel. And I was basically just feeding them that day. And I didn't catch nothing that day. That was off the pier. Now, the place where I put my kayak at when I go fishing so far, that's been the only place that I've caught them. That's been the place I've caught the most. And then that pier that I fish off of before I get there, when I don't take the boat, that one I catch a few. So I got a couple spots that I can actually catch something. But down here, like right here in this cove where I live, I haven't never even got a bite. So yeah, it seems like they need some kind of bait out there or some more structure. Pick up about 10 cans of cheap dog food and poke about 20 half-inch holes in one or two cans, tie a string to it, throw it in the water every day for about a week. So in other words, just go to the grocery store like Walmart or somewhere like that, get a bunch of cheap cans or Dollar General and just get a bunch of cheap cans of dog food. Put about 20 little half-inch holes and then tie something on it and chunk it out in the water. And then on the 5th or 6th day, go down there. After it's had about a week to sit down there and that scent and everything, that smells done brought something in. I definitely may have to try that since I got that cove that close. I hadn't even thought about it. I hadn't even thought about baiting that cove since it's right here. Because we're in a bigger trailer park. And they all join together, but ours is like on one end. Now, all the way towards the other end is where that pier is. But up on our end is where the little cove is. So I can walk from my house down to the cove. Now to go to where the pier's at, of course I'm gonna take the vehicle because, like I said, that's a couple blocks away, probably about 2 blocks. Every day, change out the cans for new ones, and shake out the bait, the old bait in the water. In other words, tie a string on them, chunk 2 out there with the holes in it, and go out there the next day, pull them back in, open them up, dump it. What's going on, Rich? Happy New Year to you as well. And we just talking a little bit about trying to bait an area. I got a cove right down here near where I live, and it hadn't been producing any hits. I went down there and fished it for brim, crappie, bass, threw out for every one of them, and didn't even get one single hit. But I know there's fish on the lake because I got hits about 2 blocks away from that spot. I got hits. So I know there's some fish in the area. Just got to try to draw them up in that cove. And wishing I was fishing was telling me to use some dog food, poke some holes in it, throw it out there. I didn't even think about that, and it's weird because I've done the bait thing before when I was trying to get catfish. I'd take a container of chicken livers, poke 4 or 5 holes in it, tie a good fishing line on there, chunk it out in the water, and then tie it around the pier. And I'd fish for catfish, and it would bring them in there. I can't believe I didn't think about that. See? That's what I like about these talks so much. It's because somebody might remind you of something that you might have done years ago, but you wasn't even thinking about doing where you're living at. Because we used to go fishing at my girlfriend, her family lived on the lake at the time. We'd go down there and I'd be catfishing. Wouldn't be getting a bunch of bites. So I'd started going down there and baiting, trying to bring the catfish in closer and bring them up in that cove they lived at, because they were right on the cove. And so I just get a container of chicken livers, tie them to the pier with a bunch of holes poked in the container. I tied a bunch of Oscar Mayer bologna to a weighted line, and it drew bass and catfish to my little spot off the side of my lake. I have taken old weenies and just took them, chunked a few pieces out there in the water, and then went back a day or two later and would fish that spot and would at least start getting hits. Whereas before, didn't get nothing. I can't believe I just forgot about that. I used to use stuff like that to help bait the area. I didn't even think about it for here. I've done corn too, because corn's real cheap. Of course, corn, you're going to bring in a lot more toward the catfish or the carp style with the kernel corn. But I didn't even think about baiting this area where I live. It didn't even cross my mind. The only thing that crossed my mind is I hope I put something on, put the right plug on, the right color on, maybe catch something soon down here on this spot. Because it's nice to have a spot within walking distance. I tried to drop a bunch of crawdads in the same spot and got nothing. Yeah, they can be so fickle. Fish can be so fickle and so picky sometimes. At times, they'll hit anything you throw in there. Other times, my dad told me to use bologna, and I thought he was joking. One time I went catfishing, and I didn't have but a couple of chicken livers left in the container, and I had a pack of weenies at the house. I still had all that chicken liver blood in the container, but only a couple chicken livers in there. So I opened the pack of weenies and cut each weenie in little sections about like this, probably about 2 inches, and then I dropped them all in that chicken liver blood, then kept them in that all the way down for the ride till we got to the lake. And then I just hook one of them on a hook, chunk it out there probably about 50 yards out. I've caught some on that. I've caught catfish on weenies, caught them on corn, of course chicken livers, of course night crawlers. And once in a blue moon, I've caught them on, stuff that you would use more like, more or less for bait, for like other fish, But it would be nice to get this area right down here where I live to at least start producing, something. It ain't got to be bass. It ain't got to be crappie. It ain't got to be brim. It could be catfish. At least one fish I can go down there and catch 1 or 2 fish, here and there. I am going to try that. We have some nice catfish in the lake. They're really picky eaters, though. Rich Homan, hey, wishing I was fishing 73. Yeah, man, give it a try. Like I said, I've had luck with weenies for catfish, and I've had luck with corn. You can go to Walmart and get you the cheapest, great value, the kernel corn. Get you the whole kernel corn. Not that cream corn, but the whole kernel. Get you a cheap can of that for like 75, 85 cents. And you can put like 10 pieces of corn basically on a hook, fill that hook up. Chunk that thing out there with like an ounce weight on there. Yeah. If I go down to the lake and the brim are biting and I can catch brim, cool. Crappie, cool. Catfish, bass. But I have more luck to be realistic, when I've fished, I've had more luck with brim, catfish. I've caught more striper than I've caught largemouth and smallmouth bass. And to me, whether it's this big or whether it's, yay big, I'll take the big ones, but as long as I'm catching something, I'm still happy. Last time I went, I was catching more like bait. It's but like this. I was still happy because at least I caught something. That told me, hey, there's something there. And generally, where there's some small ones at, sooner or later, somewhere in that area, you're going to find some big ones, generally. But I was wishing I was fishing 73, that down in this cove, right here near where I live, I've been down there and didn't even get a single bite. But I didn't try everything. I tried for brim, I tried for bass, and I tried some crappie jigs. But I did not throw any kind of stuff out for catfish. I didn't have any chicken livers out there with me. I didn't take any, anything else that the cats would hit. But I need to get down there and try it. I was just out Saturday and did that all day. Little baby largemouth, all 6 to 8 inches long. Well, at least you caught something. If I can catch a few and get some bites, especially when you're fishing with artificial. If you're fishing with artificial lures, and you getting bites, well, that lets you know, okay, this one's at least worth another shot down here. But with the bass being so fickle, you're fishing this green one this time. Next time they want the white one. Next time they want a black one with red stripes on it. Next time they want... It's weird how the colorations, and a lot of times depends on your color of your water. Yeah. Was on plastic worms. That I told everybody a couple weeks ago, that was one of my main things I used to fish with, was rubber worms with the bullet weight. And that was one of my main things I used. My first 3 bass fishing things I used: rubber worm with the bullet weight, hula popper, and broken back minnow. Now, I was showing Wishing I Was Fishing earlier. I was showing him those earlier. These are like 3-inch. And then I was showing him. Then I was showing him the swimming jig, blue and black. Yeah. That's why my dad showed me to rig them up. Had that bullet weight on there. That's the only thing he ever used with a bass worm, with, rubber worms. He always did it with a bullet weight. Always. When he did rubber worms. And my dad, man, you could open his tackle box. And his tackle box probably had about as many rubber worms as most people have everything in their tackle box. He was a fanatic over his rubber worms. You'd look in there and you'd see all different types of rubber worms, all different color variations of each one. I have the blue swimming jig. Have not used it yet. Yeah, I'm thinking this might get used on my next time out And that might get used because somebody told me that shad were running recently. But yeah. Now I'm going to say it like I've been telling everybody. I may change these to just Tuesday talk. You know, instead of listening as Tuesday RC talk, I might just change it to Tuesday talk. Because we talk about so much more on here than RC. So far, this whole thing's been about fishing and different baits and things you can do when you're fishing. That's why I told a couple of people on here I was thinking about changing my channel name. Oh man, you lucky dog. Getting ready to stock the lake with a bunch of trout. That's something I've never been fishing for, never caught. And one of the things I would love to get a shot at that I've never caught. I've caught cat, brim, crappie, bass, striper. I've caught those, but I've never been fishing for or caught trout. But of course, to be honest, I've never caught any pickerel either. I would love to find a river or a lake or something near me that has trout. I have fished this lake for 30 years and never caught one of the trout here. But if there was an award for catching the trash, get that every time. Just throw out there, think you got something, come reeling in. It's an old shoe, aluminum can, plastic bag. That you got no problem. I'd hate that. Go throw out, you're reeling a bass plug in slow. It's got all them hooks on it. And that's when you hook into the trash. And you reel it up, and it's got trash hanging from your lure. And you're like, really? But yeah, I've never caught a pickerel and never caught a trout. I really want to try trout fishing at least one time. We have a good river about 2 hours away that is supposed to be a really good spot for trout. Yeah, I thought about looking into later time, not right now, but later time I thought about looking into a couple of those like pay ponds where they got a limit of 5 fish a day or, you know, certain size. That way you know they're at least stocked. You got better chances. Unlike this cove where I go where it's like nothing's up in the cove at the time I go down there. Hopefully, you know, I'll get down there one day and get lucky, or I can bait it up and bring some stuff up in there. I wouldn't mind finding me somebody who's got a pond that you know pay to go at. You know, but 9 times out of 10, them pay ponds, they charge you like $5 to come down there, you know, and your limit's like 5 or 10 fish or whatever, certain size or whatever. But the only problem is people know they're stocked, and you get down there and people's like elbow to elbow packing the place, and then you ain't got no room in between you and the person beside you. That's one thing I liked about going down to the dams and spillways when I striper fished, because the majority of those people knew you let a guy throw out, and when his starts to go down, then you go up and throw out. Don't throw out down here below him, because his is going to come down and drift down, and then he's going to reel it back up towards him against the current, hoping to get a fish on. You got people who want to throw right out ahead of you, knowing yours is going to drift down right over theirs. They called it the chain. You go throw out, you go down, reeling yours back. The next person comes behind you, and you just go basically make a lap around. You throw it out, you walk down, reel it back up, come back around and start back over. And everybody just did it in a loop. And that's when it worked good. Worked real good when I used to go to Russell Dam. People were in sync, man. You know, they do it perfect. I have a nice spot at my lake. I can walk down a trail from my road, usually nobody around. Yeah, it's nice when you can find a spot where you only got nobody or maybe one or two people. That way you got more space. If you want to set out a rod over here on bottom, one over here with a cork, you at least got room for 2 or 3 rods. Whereas you go to one of those spots that are paid to get in, it's almost elbow to elbow room because everybody knows they're getting them. Can I deedle you? I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can I deedle you? I'm not sure what deedle, what the exact meaning of deedle is. Not trying to be funny, not trying to be a smart butt or anything. Just, I don't really understand the question. Yep, there's a spot along the front side of the lake that is always packed. Well, that's like where I went this past summer and took my kayak. I was told that when I was putting it out there, that's the best time of year to put the kayak out there, but not to bring it during July and August. No, what you can do, L in Minope, is you can get off my channel because you will be reported. You can go. You will be reported. I'll make sure YouTube knows about your channel as soon as I get through with this chat. You're going to have the nerve to come on somebody's channel who's talking about fishing and saying you want to get on somebody's bum hole. Yeah. Thank you, Rich. I'm on here with guys having to have a friendly chat. Reported twice. Yeah, it is too bad the internet's so full of the crazies. Yeah. Hey, Bull Gear RC videos. Sorry, my friend, I got a troll on here trying to be an A. Hope you had a good Christmas. Bull Gear RC videos. Y'all won't believe this. This guy's still going. He gets his rocks off by being a total troll. Well, he's done been reported like 6 times, so even one of my other people on here reported him. What's up, Massive Clouds? Doing all right? Yeah, Rich. I was about to say the same. I've run a few live streams, but I've never had anybody on there cause the trouble. Oh, some new guy popped on here, and I tried to be polite, and he just started talking about he wanted to get in somebody's behind and stuff like that. I don't know what his issue was. Yeah, I got a bad troll. He didn't want to leave, and I told him he'd been reported. But I didn't know how to exactly kick him completely out. So after I reported him under 3 different categories, I put him under harassment or bullying. I put him under another one, derogatory statements type thing. And then I picked another one and put him under it. Sent all those 3 in. And then I turned around the next one time he said something out of line, talking about, did I get any sex toys for Christmas? I put him on a timeout. Yeah, like a kid. I clicked on his name, opened up the link beside it, and it said put user in timeout. So, and I deleted his messages. I mean, here we are, just trying to get together and have a good time. Yeah, this is like, my 6th or 7th live stream. Never had any trouble with trolls. And lo and behold, here we go, New Year's Eve. All the trolls come out. I got another one now. This time it's a woman troll. There. I timed her out. Don't know exactly how to get rid of her, but I timed her out for 300 seconds. She can't say anything. Hopefully that'll make her disappear. My friends are seeing next Tuesday. RC next Tuesday. Oh, gets trolls all the time on their live streams, and they somehow kick them out. Next time they're on, I will ask them how to do it and let you know. I'd appreciate it. If nothing else, go back to like this video and come under there and just put a comment. Hey, Budget, I found out this is how you get rid of them. How you actually kick somebody out of the stream. I haven't quite learned that one yet. Like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I get on here and like to have chats with people. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That way I can get on here when I start having trouble like that. I mean, and these people are coming over here talking sexually explicit and stuff. I mean, I don't need that on here, and I don't want that on here. Just come on here to talk about hobby stuff. Different hobby adventures, you know, whether it be fishing, whether it be RC stuff. Yeah, some people are just plain out trolls. I'm on here talking about RC stuff, on here talking about fishing lures and different fishing spots to go fishing. And sometimes I talk about PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 games. And then I get a guy talking about he wants to have sex and he wants to know if I had any sex toys for Christmas. And then I get a female on here talking about stuff like that. Oh, man, just trying to get ready for the new year, basically. So you had some more bad luck after you sent the combo out in the water? Yeah, such pathetic lives. They have nothing better to do than ruin other people's good times. Yep, something's definitely wrong there. Yeah. You know, I really find it odd, the timing, because I've done at least 5 streams before this and never had any trouble. And the one night when I get on here a little late, because I normally come on around 7:30. Tonight I didn't get started till like 8:30. And I come on here, I apologize for starting up late. I put a message on there wishing everybody Happy New Year and everything. And I get trolls left and right tonight. If you're getting trolls, that means you're doing something right. Hee hee. Yeah, you're reaching the bad people. You're not reaching the ones that are into your hobby. You're reaching the bad people. Oh. Yeah, man, I wasn't expecting that. And I apologize for it getting to me as much as it did. But it was just kind of aggravating because I'm trying to, you know, answer people's real questions. And then I'm getting hit with that. And I'm trying to talk to different people. And then I got things popping up left and right like that. It's just upsetting because, you know, there's nothing you can find better to do with your New Year's Eve than that. Received a new Abel Garcia combo in the mail with a bent handle, crooked knob. Wow. I used it and noticed an eyelet was broke and destroyed a whole $20 full of Seaguard line. Oh, man, yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's real bad when you fishing gear, you get brand new fishing gear and it's damaged when you get it. Oh, wow. And it gets worse. Then you lost a $10 lure. As the old saying, when it rains, it pours. Yeah, man, that was messed up, wasn't it, Rich? When you get stuff and it's damaged when you get it, and then you go out and use it, and you lose a expensive lure. What I hate is when you go out fishing, you've only got one lure of that certain color or that certain size, like say an ounce or ounce and a half, and you throw that out there and you're fishing it and you're getting all these bites, you're catching fish, and then you go to throw out that one time and the bail accidentally clicks back on your line as you're throwing it out, snaps your line, and there goes the only thing you've been catching them on that day. Your day's done because they wasn't hitting anything else. Yeah. I went striper fishing with a couple guys one year. We're out down there and we're throwing these different plugs. And the difference was his dad had given us some tips before we left the house. But he just tuned his dad out, wasn't even paying him no attention. I was listening to every word the man said because the man had been fishing for like over 30 years at the time. And they were swirling, the water was swirling right near the dam. And I throw right in them swirls and then start reeling back towards me. And every time I'd crank it about one and a half turns on the handle, I'd get a striper on them. No, never. But yeah, I would throw out in that same spot. Like every time I'd see them swirls doing like this, just let it drop down in one of them and start reeling. As soon as I'd start reeling, another striper on. And him and his buddy were on each side of me. And I had the only lure of this color and size. And nothing was getting bites except that. And I caught one, I reeled it in, and they both looked at me and said, if you catch another one, we're throwing you in. And I went to throw out the next time, and the bail clicked back, popped the line, and the lure went out there in the middle of the water. I did once. It was horrible. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, man. That's like you get out there and you got your last rubber worm of the color that they're hitting on. And the big old bass comes along and he just rips that worm all to pieces. You can't use it anymore. And that was the only color they were hitting that day. Oh, there's the killer ones. I did that exact same thing with my favorite jig. Yeah. And you're just like, really? So your glasses are dark. But yeah, I mainly did this one tonight. After that, you switched over to spider wire, huh? I used to run spider. That's all I'd run when I was catfishing. And then what I'd do is I'd run a lead from a swivel down with the hook, a regular fishing line. I'd run about 10-pound regular right here, and then I'd have the spider the rest of the way. So that way, if I threw out and I got hung up by something or he took me around something and wrapped me around it, all I'd lose is the leader. I fished in 20 mile an hour wind the other day and got the worst wind knots in my braid. Oh. And no, that's not my husband behind me. Thank you very much. That was my son walking through the house behind me. It might be, man. I wasn't even thinking about that, Rich. It might be the same person's got like 3, 4, 5 accounts. Because it's mighty funny to have that many people hit this thing right there together. One right after the other one. Oh, I did. I timed him out as well. I also reported him. Just because you see somebody walk in the room, that must be my gay lover, as he said. Because he asked, was it my husband? And then he said, it's good to see gay people on live streams. Man, what's got to do anything with what we were talking about? You know? So, yeah, 100% another troll. My son had ate some pizza, was bringing his plate in the kitchen to put it in the sink and getting him something to drink. And that's the kind of reaction I get for him walking through the house. Yeah, I reported that one twice. I reported the other ones 2 or 3 times apiece. True. Yeah, I think that's what I'm about to do. But Rich, if you find out how to get rid of people like that, let me know. Yeah, I see that. I'm going to wait and see if they say anything out of the way. Right now, hi there is not that bad. But if it goes anything other than hi there, they're gone too. Well, my advice is to find your nearest lake, local lake, and take them to the nearest local lake. Most towns have a state park in that town or nearby. And Rich, thank you. I appreciate that you're going to find that out for me. If you find it out before I do, definitely put it on my video in the comments so I'll know. You're welcome. But yeah, you can go online. You can go online and you can type in state parks near me. And wherever you live, it should bring up a listing of state parks near your area. Some of those state parks are free to get in. Some of them charge $2. Some of them charge up to $5 to get in. But there are a lot of free to get in state parks. Like I got one near me that's $2. I got another one near me that's like $5. And then I got another one that's near me that's free. They're all within like an hour, hour and a half of where I live. And that's generally the best place to take a kid fishing to let them try it out is a state park. Yours is $5 for parking. Well, I go to one place, it's $5. I go to another place, it's $2. And then I go to one that's just free. You can just go in there anytime their gate's unlocked, you can go in. Hi, sir. I'm on a stream bonanza tonight and wishing everyone a happy New Year's, including you. Happy New Year. Thank you. And a happy New Year back to you. Should I buy a boat too? Not if you're just wanting to see if they're going to like it or not. If you're just wanting to see if they're going to like going fishing or not, I'd just take them to a bank somewhere. You say buy a boat for sure, Massive Clouds. If you just want to find out if you're going to like it and if the kids are going to like it, I would try the bank fishing first. Because say if it's not for you and it's not for your kids, if they don't like it and you don't like it, then you don't put the money out for the boat. And a lot of times once you buy something, it's hard to get back what you put in it. You know. But if you're already a person that fishes a lot and you know you're going to jump on it and you're going to fish a lot, then buy a boat and keep it for yourself. And if the kids don't like it, oh well, you're still using the boat. Yeah, don't feed them, laughing. So, okay, kids, if you want mom and dad to get you a boat to take you fishing at the state park, you can't eat for the next 2 weeks. You bank fish 95% of the time. I mix it up, to be honest. It just depends on what kind of mood I wake up in. I may walk down to the bank and fish up in the cove. I may drive a couple blocks to a pier, fish off of that. Or I may go down to another spot and then actually put my kayak in, which is, I'd probably say, about 5 miles away where I take my kayak and put it in at. It just all depends on what kind of mood I'm in, you know. If I wake up and I just want to do a little quick fishing, I'll just grab a couple rod and reels, tackle box, head right down there and fish off the bank right near where I live. But yeah, that's what I did the majority of my life was bank fishing. Because I started out with my dad in his bass boat a little bit. And then when him and my mom split up, I started fishing with my buddies, and they did a lot of creek fishing. And we fish off the bank and catch, different like shell crackers and different things out of creeks and stuff. I fished at a couple of rivers, but mainly, and I fished at a couple of ponds. Not that many ponds, but a couple. I mainly fished at like state parks or either of them like dams where you go fish for striper. I bank fish most of the time too. Have you thought about building an outrigger for your kayak? I thought about either building one or buying the one with the inflatables. You can buy one for like, I think it's around $70 or $80. It comes with the whole kit. And then you got right here on the ends, they're inflatable. And you can just take them off, let the air out of them when you're not using it. And then you just pump them up, slide them on there, lock them in place when you get ready to go out. Even if I put the outriggers, I still don't plan on standing up in one. I'm not going that far. But I would like to do an outrigger for it down the road. Rich said you've been thinking about getting a kayak. They look like a lot of fun. They are, man. And because they're so lightweight, they're not really hard to transport. And then when you get out there, a lot of fun. Because you can get out to different spots quickly. And you ain't just limited to walking across the bank. You got a bunch of different areas you can throw. But I'd also looked at those inflatable one-man pontoons that you can get. Those things are so cool. You got the pontoon over here, and then you got the chassis part that sits right here in the middle, and you strap it to the pontoons. You fill them up with air, and then you got your 2 oars or paddles, and then you just get out there in it. I thought about one of those before I bought the kayak. That's what I was actually looking at first. I looked at one of those inflatable pontoons first. It was a one-man inflatable pontoon. Yeah, same here. The one I want is around 5. There's a spot I would love to hit, and it's about 100 yards from where I can get from the bank. True. Just like years ago, I'd go fishing off a pier, and I'd be throwing out for bass. And every time I'd throw out, I'd see bass popping 10, 20, 30, 40 feet away from where I was able to get it out there throwing. I'd like to get one of those kayaks that have the pedals. Yeah. Some of them are sweet. Yeah, those ones with the pedals are really sweet, but they're just so expensive. I watched a guy pulling a 9-foot white shark off the pier here. The most insane thing I ever seen. Whew. Huh. That's crazy to say the least. The thing I like about the pontoon one, have not been back in the water here since. Oh, but yeah, the thing I like about those inflatable pontoons, the thing I do like about them, is you got this tote bag, all the stuff's inside the tote bag, and you just throw it up in the back of your car. You get out there to the water, you plug in your pump to your cigarette lighter, you pump up your 2 inflatable pontoon things, and then you just strap on the rest of the stuff onto it, grab your fishing gear, load it on, launch it to the water, and go out there and fish off a one-man pontoon. Then when you get through, you let the air out of those, take everything apart, put it back in the bag, and drive home. Works out real good for people that's got small cars, stuff like that, and can't really haul a boat. Kayaks are more stable than you might expect. Yeah, I know it's stable, but my biggest worry is definitely trying to stand up in one. I don't have great balance, so I don't see me ever standing up in a kayak. I think I'll stick with the sitting down and fishing out of it. And if I want to stand up, I'll fish off the pier. But I've seen guys who took and put outriggers on kayaks identical to mine. And they said if you do the outrigger right and you got it out at the distance on each side like you need it. I've seen guys put a pull rope on there, grab a hold of that pull rope, stand up, and just throw out for bass left and right out of kayaks just like mine. The exact model. Yeah, I tried to stand up in a buddy's and almost lost all my gear. I know this guy I was watching, he took one just like mine, and they turned it more into a bass fishing one, and he put a pull rope at the front coming back towards him so that way it would help him when he went to stand up to keep his balance. And then they added the outriggers on each side. When you was casting, you almost went. Yeah. Wishing I was fishing 73. Yeah, most of them are not made for standing. They're good and stable when you're just sitting down in them fishing. But you go to stand up in one, 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up in the water. You, your gear, or both. But there's guys now, they're doing outriggers for these kayaks. And they can put them on there when they're fishing, take them off when they get home, when they get ready to go home for storage. Some guys do it yourself ones, and some guys buy these inflatable outrigger kits. And then you just blow up the 2 things on each end with your air pump, and then you hook that on to each side of your kayak, and these guys are out there just standing up. Now, other guys, what I've seen a couple of guys do was the buoys that people have on their boats when they come up and they bump up against the piers, those little buoys that hang off the side. I've seen guys take those and hook PVC pipe onto them and have one on each side, and that would be the things to help them from flipping. Yeah. Yeah, I've only got a 10-foot kayak, so not as stable as if you get like a 12 or 14, and then you put a wide outrigger on it, Now, I saw one guy, he did a do-it-yourself one, and his was pretty wicked. He went and got 2 2-liter bottles, 4 2-liter bottles, my bad. 4 2-liter bottles. Once the soda was drank out of them, he rinsed them out. And he got that foam that you put in to seal up leaks and cracks around your door and stuff, that spray foam. And he would stick the end of the nozzle into the 2-liter bottle, and then he would mash the thing and fill up the 2-liter bottle with foam. And then he would hook it to a piece of PVC. He did that with all 4 bottles. And then he'd come off with that PVC that went out to each bottle. He had a T in the middle of it. So you had a 2-liter bottle here, 2-liter bottle here, and they came in with PVC like this into a T. And then that T come off and went with a piece of PVC over to the kayak where he had it mounted, and he had that done on each side. So in other words, his outrigger setup was a 2-liter bottle here and here, here and here. So he had 2 2-liter bottles here and 2 2-liter bottles here. And then he had PVC mounting it to the kayak. And that was the way he did his. And he filled it up with that foam that you fill in gaps and cracks in walls and around doors with. Especially around plumbing. You've seen people take that foam and they use it to fill in. And that's what this guy did it with 2-liter bottles and PVC. Yeah. To me, that's probably the cheapest idea. Because think about it. You get a 2-liter. Somebody drinks the 2-liter. You just rinse it out, put it to the side, and save it. Once you got 4 of them up, you get you some PVC, and you start gluing everything together. Once you and you get everything glued together, except for putting the bottles on there, and then you get that spray, that stuff, that foam. And once you get the 4 bottles full, put everything together. And then what he did was he drilled holes in part of the PVC, and he put like a piece would go through and then it would clamp on, and he could just remove those to unattach it from his boat. And then he would put them up out of the way when he got home. In other words, they wasn't on his boat full time where he couldn't take them off. He had these little clamps he could just undo. The 2 of them would come off. He'd set them over to the side if he didn't want to use them. So there's different ways. You can either go on eBay and you can search them and you can buy the inflatable ones. It's a kit with the inflatable ones on each end. I think those are somewhere between $65 and $95 for those. Or you can get the do-it-yourself, like I just said, 2-liter bottles. You know, I mean, what? You spend $4 or $5 for the 4 2-liters? And then a couple cans of the spray foam? Well, maybe 4 cans of the spray foam to fill up all 4 2-liters. And then a little bit of PVC and a couple of places things so you can attach it and unattach it. A little bit of hardware stuff. Yeah. There's a guy here that has a mini pontoon, and it looks just like a pontoon boat, but only 10 to 12 foot. Oh, man. And the good thing about those pontoons, they're really stable, too. I mean, you can get a bunch of people up on a pontoon just throwing out left and right, and they don't even hardly rock because they're wide. To me, the wideness on the kayak that gives them that stability. Because if you throw out on a kayak real hard like this, you can feel yourself do that a little bit. And when you're catching a fish and you're reeling it in and it's fighting you, you can see it. A lot of times they'll rock a little bit. Some of them will. Depends on the kayak, how stable they are, you know. But, yeah. I would love a mini pontoon, you know, like what you're talking about. Say a 10, 12 foot pontoon. That would be awesome. I always wanted a 10 foot John boat with a trailer and just a trolling motor. 10-foot John boat, trailer, trolling motor, and a light for the front and back. Even if it's one of those clamp lights where you just screw it on there, hook it to a battery, screw it on there and clamp it on there while you're fishing. Then when you get home, you take it off and put it somewhere safe. Yeah, I get jealous every time I see it. Huh. The reason I said 10-foot John boat in a trailer is to make it easier to haul. To me, it's more of a pain putting a John boat up in the back of a pickup truck. Especially if you're trying to do it by yourself. If you're going out fishing by yourself, it's a little more difficult loading a John boat, lugging it in and out of the back of your truck every time you go to the water. Whereas that little kayak I got is 10 foot. If I had an old work van, I said if I had one, I could slide it up in the back of that work van, shut the doors at the back, lock the van up, and just leave the kayak in there till I got ready to use it. Then all I had to do is pull up to the spot, back down close to the water, open the doors, slide it out and down onto the ground, move the van out of the way. Yeah, kayak for me is perfect. Easy in and out of the truck. Yeah. I slide mine up in my truck at kind of caddy corner, so it'll fit up in there further. And then I put a rope across the back and strap it around at the back of the kayak, so because my tailgate won't shut because it's a little too long. And then I just load up my fishing gear and take off. Now, when I bought mine, that was the smallest one they had was the 10-foot that I bought. And they were out of the other ones, and I didn't know it. They had a smaller one. I went back, probably about 2 weeks after I got mine, and noticed that they had one that was like 8.5 foot long. And my truck has an 8-foot bed on it, so that little 8.5 foot would have been easy to fit in the truck. You know, it would have been easier and easier to move and maneuver. I think it only weighs about, I think the 8.5 foot one only weighed about 30, 35 pounds. Yeah. I can't remember his name. I did see that. I'm like, really? I don't even see where you need an outboard motor on a kayak. Now, I could understand if you go as far as a trolling motor. Because, a trolling motor with a good thrust on a 10-foot or 8.5 foot kayak, a trolling motor on that thing would really scoot you across the water. Yeah. Because I know I used to go fishing off this guy's boat. They had one of those ski style, the walk through at the front. And they put I think it was 44 pound thrust on it. And that 44 pound thrust would move their big boat. So you imagine putting a 44 pound thrust trolling motor on a little kayak. You would be moving. I'd rather just get out there and do it with the paddle. That way you can go anywhere. Because one of these state parks I was talking about earlier, they don't allow any boats with motors at that state park at all. So you can put out a rope, you can put out a paddle boat, a canoe, a kayak, as long as you don't have a motor. So me, I can take my kayak up there and ain't got to worry. Yeah, you really need to get to that spot in a hurry. Yeah. I don't really fish in current, so paddles would be fine for me. Yeah, what I generally try to do, I go out and find spots near the bank, and then I'll get like 10, 15, 20, 30 feet away from the bank, and I'll throw back towards different bank areas, especially near cover, whether it be bushes hanging out in the water, whether it be a piece of a tree that fell in the water. I'll throw over there towards brush piles, towards growth, like grass growing up in the water, different things like that. Anything that I can see, I'll throw near like that. But I don't even generally get out as deep. When I'm generally out there, I don't even get out as far as the boats go. I stay in I'm probably 25 feet or less, if that far. Most of the time, I'm probably 10, 15 feet deep is about where I'm fishing from. That's about as far as I go out. In other words, I go out, I paddle out, and then I turn and start in towards a bank, either over here on this side or over here on this side. And then I'll fish all the way around that bank area. Or I'll find me a nice cove and go up into that cove and then fish all around in that cove and then bring it back and load it back up in the truck. So far, I haven't gotten near any boats so far since I've been putting mine in the water. There's one spot I want to go, but I know if I go there, I'm going to have to deal with boats. And it's a spot that I go on the pier and fish off the pier, but they've also got a boat ramp right beside the pier. And I wanted to put my boat out there and go up under the bridge and do a little bit of crappie fishing. But I've seen boats come whizzing under that bridge, just flying up under there. And that worries me being in that kayak, and somebody come up through there and ain't paying attention. You know, that worries me. Because, you know, everybody can say, well, you can swim, can't you? Well, even if you can swim, if that boat hits you while you in your kayak, knocks you out, and you ain't got a life jacket on, you ain't swimming if you knocked out. You know. But that's also why I always wear my life vest, just in case. Yeah, because I stood there on that pier and fished and looked under that bridge where they fish for crappie every now and then, and I've seen bass boats just come flying up under there. And I'm like, really? Y'all should slow down coming under there. Just come down and cruise through there, you know, at a slow speed. And then once you get past this pier and everything, then pick back up your speed. You know. So I haven't put my kayak out there yet, because that's kind of got me worried. But I do want to tie it down real good and take it to this state park I was saying that don't allow boats with motors. That way I don't have to worry. Think about it. Take it to a state park that doesn't allow any boats in the water that have motors. Then I'll be out there with paddle boats, canoes, and kayaks. That wouldn't be too bad then, see. But that one's about an hour away. So I can't take the kayak there too much and that old pickup truck of mine, because, oh my God, that thing coughs every time it sees a gas station. I found that you turn into them. That's what Wishing I Was Fishing 73 said. Turn and face them. Like if the waves are coming straight like this and you're turned sideways, see if you can get your kayak turned so that way you're just up and over them. Thanks, Rich. Have a good night with your family and everything. And Happy New Year's to you as well. Peace, my friend. Yeah, that's what Wishing I Was Fishing 73. He told me. He knows more than I could ever dream about knowing when it comes to kayaking. And I'd say fishing too, pretty much. Because he has way better luck when he goes fishing. It's that he either knows more or he's got way better spots. One or the other. And I'm going to chalk it up that he knows more about fishing than I do. I'll get you some real info real soon. I'd appreciate it. And like I said, just leave me a message about that. That way I can check into it. High five, my friend. Again, have a great night with your family and have a Happy New Year's. And maybe look into one of those kayaks. Hey, if you really want a cheap one, Rich, I'll tell you about this one as you're leaving. I'll say this on here. Lifetime Daylite. Daylite. That's the cheapest one that I've seen by Lifetime that you can kind of do a few mods to it and turn it into a fishing kayak. He fishes every day. I'm sure he has some great fishing spots. Yeah, Wishing I Was Fishing says he told me he hadn't missed a Friday in I think he said the last 4 years. Me, I used to be. If I worked day shift, I'd come home from work, change clothes, and head out to the lake. I used to fish 4 and 5 times a week. And then I got where I fished on my days off. I'd have like 2 days off a week. I'd fish both those days. Then it got to where it was just like once a week. Then it got where it was like every other week. I cut it down some. Then I got into RC, and it was like for 6 years, I only fished a couple times because I was so busy doing the RC. Yeah, I thought you were. I just wanted to repeat it just in case you weren't. Yeah. I was like tripping on that, man. Hadn't missed a day and hadn't missed a fishing trip on a Friday in 4 years straight. And that used to be me years ago. It was like every day of the week when I get off work, I'd go fishing for a little while. And then it got to be where every 2 days, if I was off for 2 days, I'd go. Yeah, I jumped hobby to hobby. Yeah. I got where I just put the fishing on the back burner, and it was just like once every blue moon I'd go fishing. And it was the RC I had to do every week. And now I decided when we moved, I was like, man, I'm going to get back into the fishing a little bit more. And then I was like, I've never had a kayak, never had a canoe. And Nick, though wishing I was fishing 73, he used to be my next door neighbor. He had always told me I should get a kayak and give it a try. So when we moved, I'm like, had some tax money. It was my birthday. I'm like, I'm going to get this Lifetime Tahoma. I think mine was $199.99 or $198.99. That's what it was for that Lifetime Tahoma when I bought it brand new. I bought it, brought it home, checked it out, and went back and bought a brand new paddle that was on sale because the one that come with it was no. I didn't even want to try it. I've been slacking on running my RCs. Fiance told me tonight I need to sell some of it since I don't mess with them, but that ain't happening. But yeah, mine is still trying to find a lot better trailing spots. Like I said, we've just been here a year, so I'm still looking around trying to find. I'm hoping to check out that state park I was talking about, that you can't have boats with motors. I want to check that one out one day and see if I go down there and put that kayak in down there. And then while I'm there, maybe look around and see if they got any trails close by that I could throw out there, get out there on with one of my RCs. Cost too much to buy them again, yeah. Now, I can understand selling a few if you got something you're really interested in, but you think you're already, got a few too many, and you ain't messing with them that much. Then, get rid of a couple that you're not using to maybe buy one, a newer style or something. I've got a Rustler. Oh, man. No. That's like I saw somebody with a crawler one time listed on eBay, and it was used, and they were $1,500. And it was just like a trail truck, with some upgrades and stuff. You know how some people get one, and they got to have aluminum everything. And this one had like aluminum steering hubs. Everything had been changed out, They added like brass weights to it, to make it more stable. They done added all that to it. And they were asking like $1,700 for it. And I'm like, no. I would not put that much into a trail truck. Yeah. Because a lot of times you put that kind of money in it, and unless you find a real RC nut, really an RC person that's really into it and knows exactly what you got, because they've been around the hobby. Oh yeah, that right there is 200. That right there is 400. That right there was $600 worth of upgrades. Yeah, I can see why they're asking that. But to the average Joe, you put this thing out there and you're asking $19.95. A lot of people are gonna be like, man, I could buy me a car, a truck, or I could go out and buy me a used 4-wheeler, or I can go out and buy me a couple kayaks. Shoot, for $2,000, I can go out and buy me kayaks for everybody in the family. Pretty much. The wife, the kids, me, get all of us a kayak. Yeah. A buyer that knows what he's buying. Yeah, that's the only way that you're going to get anywhere near what you got into one. That's like that G-Made sawback I've got. This thing has upgrades. It has the front bumper, the rear bumper. Those look to be homemade. Or either he bought them from somewhere I've never seen them. They're different. Underneath, the skid plate looks custom. It's aluminum or metal. That's different. The drive shafts are upgrades. They look like was it Junpac? The JUNFAC. They look like they're made by them. Those drive shafts are upgraded on it. And then the driver is hooked to the steering wheel. And he's got a servo. So my driver does this when he's driving. Huh. Yeah. So that's like these sites that say RCs for sale, 250 or less. And that's their rule. But then you go on there and there's a guy asking $750 for one. So yeah. And anytime you buy something used, you got 50-50 chance of it being worth a crap, not being worth a crap, if you don't know that person. I've had good luck on eBay buying used. I've only had one bad buying used. I bought my first short course truck, the ECX Torment 2-wheel drive. Bought it used. Ran it for over 3 years. And probably chewed up the teeth on the spur gear after 3 years. I bought a 4-wheel drive ECX Torment. I've had it about 2.5 years. Still going. Bought it used. And I bought a 2-wheel drive buggy. They're discontinued now. It was made by a company called Hobby People. It was the Hobby People Sandstorm is what it was called. It was a 2-wheel drive buggy. I bought that thing used on eBay. It was broke just as much as it was ran. It seemed like every time I ran it, it broke. And I broke it one time and it tore it up pretty good. And then the last time I broke it, I went to looking online trying to find parts for it. And they were starting to discontinue the majority of the parts for it. So I just said, no, I'm going to scrap it and keep stuff off of it. I pulled the wheels off of it. I pulled the pinion gear, the motor, the servo, the radio and receiver. I gutted it, and then I trashed it. The tires, the front tires and rear tires, are now on my Tamiya Sand Rover. My little Tamiya Sand Rover 2-wheel drive buggy that I've got. It has the tires and rims off of this Hobby People Sandstorm. So I recycled them and used them on it because I didn't like the stock wheels that come on the Tamiya Sand Rover. The tires were too hard and firm. I used a radio and receiver. And matter of fact, the radio and receiver is in my Red Cat Everest 10. That's where the radio and receiver went to. So see, I scrapped it, took everything out of it that I thought was of use, and then threw away what I didn't want because it was busted up bad, and some of the parts I couldn't get to refix it. Yeah, I can't go that much. Because, man, to be honest, I watch this guy who buys a lot of cheaper, like, Chinese motorcycles, Chinese scooters, and different things like that. And for that $1,200, $1,300, you can buy what they call a Chinese Grom, a fake Honda Grom, 4-speed with the clutch, 125 cc for that $1,200, $1,300 and have it shipped to your door. You know, and that's something you can ride around on yourself and have a little fun. So I just couldn't throw $1,200, $1,300 in an RC. I couldn't quite go that far. I had a bloated 3S Traxxas battery, and they sent me a replacement. When I received the package, it was a huge box, and I was like, what the? Opened it up, and it was a Michigan Hobby Store's order. Carlton's Hobbies order. $3,000 in RC parts. Whew. I love the hobby, but like I said, the name Budget Guy is there for a reason. I mean, even though that was tax time when I bought that kayak, I still had to be budget minded. That's why I got a $200 kayak. I called them and forwarded it to them. Ah, cool. I worked on this one a little bit. I had last time I ran it on the trails is, if you notice, the front bumper hangs down really low. So what I did was, and it tucked in, it turned down here at the very bottom part right here. It turned and went out like this. And every time I turned sharp climbing a rock, I was catching that front bumper. So I went and cut that curve out and made it just look like it was originally straight. Can't really tell I cut it out. But yeah, it did. It curved and went in like this. It was way up here like this. And every time I turned the truck and climbed over something, it was rubbing this bottom part of the bumper. And I wanted it to still kind of have the original look, but not keep catching on my wheels every time I turned. Now this is an HG P401, which is by Hingguan. I took it and added this Hummer body, which I got off of eBay. I added the Hummer body to it, changed and added these Axial Ripsaw 1.9s to it. I changed out the shocks on it because the ones that come on it wasn't even oil filled. And then I changed out the steering servo that came on it and put an HPI waterproof servo on it. I like the way it looks. It looks real good on the trail. It's a H2 Hummer. That's an H2 Hummer. That's the last thing I've worked on lately. Yeah, one of my crawlers does that when turning, when it's on an incline. Well, see, I noticed the last time I took it out, when I climbed over this tree branch, I went to come over it, and I heard a little bit of rub, and I'm like, what? I thought I had the body adjusted where there wouldn't be no rub. Excuse me. And as you can see, there's a pretty good bit of gap between the tire and the fender. And I was like, I'm getting rubbed. And I wasn't paying no attention. Apparently, when I got up on an incline, it would push that tire up there enough to catch the bumper. And when I turned, it really, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's a hard plastic body. I ordered this one. I found this one on eBay for sale. Won it in a bid. Ended up bidding on it. Won it. Got it. And as soon as I got it, I went ahead and took my links and brought my links in as far as they could go to make it so the chassis would fit. Brought the links in to their innermost position at the front and at the back so it would fit. And then I added lights to it. So it's got the headlights, it's got like the fog lights here, and then it's got lights, but it's got tail lights back here. But yeah, it's the hard body one. And it's got like the factory roof rack style. I'd say New Bright. I think it was a New Bright. What I did was I sent him a note when I got ready to bid on it. I sent him a note and contacted him and asked him what was the wheel to wheel well, so I could get an idea. And when he told me approximately what it was, I got to looking at it where mine was at, and if I brought it all the way in, and I'm like, yeah, I can make that work. So I bid on it, won it. Well, I got lucky on this one. I mean, that's pretty matched up. It could come back another millimeter or two at the front. I think another millimeter or two at the front. And the back, as you can see, is just a little bit. The rig, I needed to drill my holes just a little bit further, a different way. It was only a millimeter or two off. But I get very little tire rub unless I completely, see? That about right there is where it maybe rubs a little bit. But generally, I got to come all the way up in there. So it does pretty good considering. Yeah, it was only a couple millimeters from being perfect. Like 1 or 2 millimeters from being perfect. This one did good for me. And I've got I got one in there on a CC01. It's a blue Jeep that says Mopar on each side of it. And I put that on a CC01 chassis. Guy had it up on eBay, listed as a 1/10. And I got to looking at it. And I got to looking at some other ones online. And they were classifying it more as a 1/12. So I went ahead and bid on it. Won it. And when I got it home, set it down on my CC01, and it was good for the CC01. But had I put it on this one, the wheelbase wouldn't have matched. But yeah, I've got two hard bodies. I've got this Hummer H2 over here, and then I've got a Jeep that says Mopar. Didn't you have a bus body on one of your crawlers? No, I've got that panel truck style body on the kind of like the Gravedigger body. I've got that on the Max Stone. I mean on the Red Cat Everest. Red Cat Everest 10. And my Max Stone 10 has a dingo body on it. I turned it into more of a trail truck. Yeah, the yellow Hummer. I've had that on there for a while. I've got the Hummer's one hard body and Jeep. Hold on. There's my CC01. With a Jeep body on it. This is a new bright one. And as you can see, goes right up in the wheel arch. So, see, goes right up in there. That would not have fit on a regular 1/10 scale. Now, here's what I love. There it is. That Yeah Racing tire cover. It's a Jeep on the tire cover, and it says, "Shut up and mud up." These are kind of on the order of the RC 4-wheel drive wagon wheels, but they're an off-name brand. I found them on eBay. I typed in aluminum wheels and found them. Yeah, I love the look. I love the way this turned out. Yeah, they do. They look like RC 4-wheel drive ones. But I found them on eBay, and they were $10 or $15 a set cheaper than the RC 4-wheel drive ones. Now, that front bumper is an old axial front bumper. And then I just took it and glued it, drilled some holes in the front of the Jeep, the front Jeep bumper, drilled some holes, put glue, and then slid this bumper into that bumper so it would mount up to it. So see, it's mounted right up to the Jeep with glue. And then I've got the Walking Dead driver. Yeah, makes them I think, fatter and wider when you put 1.9 tires on 2.2s. Now this body right here was one of my buddies on YouTube had it, and he couldn't think of anything he wanted to do with it, so he put it on eBay for sale. And I saw it, went on there and bid on it. Like I said, I added the front bumper. I did these mirrors, painted the silver on the side to make them look like real mirrors, and added that. Added the spare tire and the cover. And then, of course, put the driver in there. And it's got LEDs, lights here, and the headlights. It's got the tail lights. And then I got LEDs across here. Yeah. To give it a low profile look, is what you're talking about. But yeah, this was the first time that I did any kind of build with a body. Trying to put a different body on the truck than what came on it. This was my first custom build. I took this and set up this body on here. And then when I did it, later time, I got the Hummer and did that one. But oh yeah, I like what I did with this one. Because what it was is I couldn't find any CC01 Jeep bodies. Everybody was wanting way too much for them, like they were gold. And I was like, I'm not paying that kind of price just for a body. People were asking like $200 just for a CC01 Jeep body, just for the body. And I was like, nope, not when I can get this. When I got it, I added those mirrors on because the original ones were broke off. Then I added that front bumper to make it look more like a real trail or a real crawler. And then I added those wheels. The tires I already had. I already had the axial ripsaws. But the wheels, I bought there because I'm like, with that white writing on there where it says Mopar and Jeep in white, I'm like, that'll be perfect with some white B-lock wheels. Let me put this thing back up. Yes, they're 12.3 wheelbase. People ask ridiculous prices for the hard bodies. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, look at an RC 4-wheel drive. Trailfinder 2. Okay, you buy the rig, and they want $460 for a Trailfinder 2 that they call ready to run, and then you got to buy the batteries for the remote and the battery for the truck, whatever. And you're talking almost $500 for this thing. And 9 times out of 10, when the people get it, they put new tires on it, time to get it, because the ones that come with it, those dirt grabbers or whatever, aren't that good, the stock ones. So you change out the tires right off the bat, and then you turn around and you end up adding a full interior, because on the Trailfinder 2 ready to run, all you get is the dash and the steering wheel. So I ended up, when I had my Trailfinder 2, I put the full interior in it when I had it. But the electronics aren't as good in those Trailfinder 2s as people think they are. Now the Trailfinder 2, the Marlin Crawler Edition, I heard that one's a lot better than a Trailfinder 2. It's better than the original TF2. Have you seen some of the 3D printed bodies? Yeah, man. Sweet. I mean, they just look so realistic. Oh man, yeah. If you can get a nice 3D printer and then do that, that would be cool. Because every time you get a body, if you've got the supplies to make it already on hand, then all it costs you is $10 for the plans and everything. You get that, you put it in there, whatever color you want it, and print it up. Or you put it in there and you print it up in, say, a white or whatever, and then you paint it the color you want it. Yeah. It's weird when a RC body can sell for the amount of what an RC would sell for or more. So you can make a decent profit of them. Yeah. If you got, say like you've got 3 or 4 rolls of printing stuff, sitting around. And then you get a few different plans. You get like 5 or 10 body plans, style plans. You spent like $50 on plans. And then you sit there and you print up 5 or 10 bodies and put them on eBay, couple hundred a pop. Yeah. And say you've only got 100 in all your stuff. And you make 5 or 10 bodies selling them for a couple hundred a piece. Yeah. Especially if you've already got everything you need except for the plans. And then all you got to do is buy a few different bodies, the plans for them, spend about $50 on 5 different bodies for the plans for them, and you already got the stuff to print with. Print you up a couple of each one, each style, list them on eBay. Yeah, you can make some good money on them then. Because, yeah, man, unless you get lucky, now if you catch somebody that's not really in the hobby, like say they did a house auction. Say you got to go to one of them auctions and you find 4 or 5 old New Brights that don't have any remotes, don't run or whatever, and you list them on eBay for sale and you don't know what they're worth, then yeah, you put them cheap. And that's how I got my Hummer body, the H2. If somebody had it on there for cheap and then nobody bid on it, yeah, I see it. It's been trolls all night though tonight for some reason. That's like 4 or 5 I've had to report tonight. But it is what it is. But yeah, them hard bodies is like they're made of gold. Yeah, I'm the lonely streamer that does it all. I don't have anybody, set up to take care of that. Yep, got nothing better to do. It is what it is, my friend. I didn't know much about it. I just decided to try it one day. I do it this way most of the time with the YouTube one like this. But I have done a couple times. I went and downloaded what they call StreamYard. I downloaded the free version of it just to have one. And it's supposed to be where you can let other people who have video cameras and audio actually talk while you're doing one. But didn't seem like as many people joined in when I did it that way. So I just went back to using this one for now. If the audience gets bigger down the road, I may go back to using that StreamYard. That way it gives people a chance to actually talk using their mic and, be seen using their camera. But I don't know. After having this many trolls tonight, don't really know if you want to give people the right to a mic. No. And his wasn't the ECX. Mine's the 2 ECXs. He had the Mad Speed, whatever it's called. Back the Exceed sells them. I think it's Mad Gear or something like that. The little 2-wheel drive, the dark blue one. Yeah, he quit running. He lost interest. And then when we moved here, he got so into computers and stuff like that, he just, nah. It's in the closet with my RCs right now. It probably ain't been run in probably close to a couple years now. It's probably been about 2 years now since it's been run. Or close to it. At least a year and a half. I think he only ended up running it like 3 times. And then he lost interest. It was something I thought he would enjoy. And he didn't really. So it's just sitting in the closet with mine. I may get it out one day and charge the battery up and just take it outside and run it myself. But it's just sitting in the closet. I think it is Mad Gear. I want to say Mad Gear. It's a brand at ECX. I mean, not ECX, but Exceed. It's a no-name brand that Exceed carries. It's the Mad Speed. 1/10 scale. They had it in a buggy, a 2-wheel drive short course truck. And I think they had a truggy version as well. Yeah. He was in a video where he was running my Hobby People Sandstorm, and I was running my 2-wheel drive ECX Torment, and we didn't communicate, hey, I'm going to go down here and turn right. You turn right as well, and we'll turn around and come back by the camera. I went right. He turned left, collided head on, and that 2-wheel drive Torment just totaled out that buggy. It busted it up, broke the caster blocks at the front. Steering was hanging off. Ended up getting it fixed, and then right as I got it fixed, the next time I ran it, that's when the gearbox something went wrong in the gearbox and couldn't find the gears and stuff for it. And that's when I just deconstructed the buggy. But he was having such a hoot when we ran my Torment and when we ran that buggy together, I thought he'd really get a kick out of it. So I found him that 2-wheel drive Mad Gear. Bought it for him brand new. He ran it one time out on the road and threw some dirt. Then another time, I took him out and he was trying to jump a cardboard ramp we had built with it. After that, I think he just got frustrated with mosquitoes and stuff. He don't like getting bit by mosquitoes. He's not as much outdoorsy as Dad is, so he really hates the mosquitoes. And he just got where he didn't want to go out there. He didn't want to be bothered with the bugs. Either that or that was just an excuse of him not wanting to run it. Maybe he got bored with it. Ran it 2 or 3 times and nah, ain't what I want to do. I'd want to play video games and be on the computer. Hey, that's what he wants to do. So I just put it in the closet. It's still in there right now. I have borrowed his battery from his a couple times because my Red Cat monster truck that I got, it runs that same style banana clip, the banana plug style battery. Yeah, I was wondering if he enjoyed it. Remember you were telling me you were getting your kid Armor Granite for Christmas. You were telling me that last week, that y'all were getting him one or got him one, and you were waiting to see what he thought about it. Well, I'm glad he enjoys it. I went with short course truck for one reason with my son. I like the monster truck because, they get over more stuff. But I went with short course truck because short course truck, that big old body, to me, acts as a protector because it comes down and goes over the wheels. You can sit there and flip that thing 10, 15 times, and generally nothing breaks on it. You might crack the body a little bit, but that's about it. That's why I went short course trucks. Oh, for some reason my video was delayed and was 10-second behind. I don't know. I had a little bit of trouble. Might be on both our ends. I had a little bit of trouble when I first got started up. It had a little bit of lag. It didn't want to get going. And then when I got hit with all those trolls during that time, it tried to break connection for a minute. When Bull Gear RC popped in just to say hi, it said it was having issues, and then it cleared up. But they were asking me, it sent me a message asking me, did I want to end my stream? I was like, no, I'll just keep going and see if it clears up, you know. But this is the first time I've ever had any trouble on the live stream. But I know, remember, I told you wishing I was fishing 73. He's on the phone, and he said his gets delays sometimes. But you've never had any delays any of the times you've been on so far until tonight. Took him fishing for the first time after he got his fishing gear for Christmas, and he loves it. Hey, that's a good thing. It's always nice when you can find a hobby that you can actually share with your family, you know. Yeah. Could just be the system tonight. Because like I said, I had a little bit of a buggy startup. It took it longer to go live than it normally takes. And then once it went live, when Bull Gear joined in and I had all those spammers about that I was clicking on and, you know, reporting and everything and putting them in timeout, it went buggy for a minute there and slowed down. But it slowed down so bad then, they sent me a notice and asked me, did I want to stop my live stream? And then it cleared up and went good after that. Well, man, as always, it was a pleasure talking to you. Peace, my friend. Happy New Year to you and your family. I'm going to go ahead and close it out. This is Marshall, a.k.a. Budget Guy RC. Peace. Everybody have a happy New Year. Later. We out.